Welcome back to a brand new spoiler movie review here on Max Talk Movies. My name is Max Denberg. Today we're going to break down Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which just hit theaters this past Friday, June 2nd. We're going to break down the whole movie in its full form, in full spoiler fashion. So welcome back to Max Talks Movies. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, ring the bell. I'll do movie reviews, TV show reviews, back to start doing movie rankings every week with a lot of these big franchises coming back with movies in the next couple of months, as well as a box office breakdown show every single Monday. So please subscribe, ring the bell if you're new to the channel. Comment down below, what are your full spoiler thoughts on Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse? What did you like? If you didn't like some things, tell me what did you not like? What do you want to see happen in Beyond the Spider-Verse, which comes out in March? We know all your spoiler details. I love having those fun conversations with you guys, so please comment down below. Like the video as well, the thumbs up button helps to support the channel. The more you guys hit that like button, the more people will also join our communities. We're now at 154 subscribers. Let's keep getting up to 160 as quickly as possible. So subscribe and ring the bell. So again, before we get into the full spoiler thoughts, again, if you by accident clicked on this video, I think this is a non-spoiler review for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I've already done my non-spoiler thoughts, and I still stand by that after sleeping on the movie for the last couple of nights since seeing it and gathering my thoughts for this video. So if you want to see my non-spoiler thoughts, it's also on this channel. So let's get into this. Finally, we're going to get into full spoilers for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So again, my general thoughts on the movie before I actually get into my full thoughts on it is that, again, I love this movie. I gave it like a 97%. It's one of the best animated movies I've ever seen in a movie theater before. Again, Toy Story is my favorite animated movie of all time, but again, I didn't see that in the theater. So this was a special experience. Again, very similar. I think I had a more special experience though seeing the first one, just because of the genuine surprise of how special the film was. I kind of had those high expectations, and they were even higher than I thought leaving the theater and then reflecting on it and seeing the Easter egg breakdowns. And just talking about it with other people, not just family members, but also a lot of my friends who've seen the movie and just talking through the movie. I just adore this film. I think it's a perfect setup movie to set up Beyond the Spider-Verse, but I also think it really does stand on its own. So let's get into my spoiler thoughts. Again, I gave it a 97%, which I am going to stand by for this year. Again, my only really nitpick with this movie is I did think the movie was a bit too long. It was around 2 hours and 20 minutes, and there's a part, I guess, in the first half of the movie where the movie does feel its length. I think once they get into the Spider-Man world with all the Spider-Men, the movie really picks up from there. I do think the movie kind of drags a bit to get up to that point, but still, that's my only really nitpick in this fantastic film. So we start the movie with really the first like 20 minutes of the movie with Gwen, who really becomes an equal kind of co-lead with Miles in this movie. And it was a thing I wasn't totally expecting. We start in Gwen's world, which we really didn't see in the first film. We saw the drum stuff in the first film, and we saw her telling Miles about, Peter dying, who was a friend at the time. And we get the whole backstory to Peter Parker's, death in this kind of opening prologue to the movie, where Gwen is playing drums. She's kind of tired of being told what to do. She has this kind of spider persona. She's friends with Peter Parker. He turns into the lizard. She does not realize it when she's kind of attacking him. By accident, he gets killed in this fight scene with Gwen. And Gwen's on top of it, and Captain Stacy, who is her dad, believes that Spider-Woman obviously is the one who killed Peter Parker, someone who sat at his dinner table, all these things. Then we have a big confrontation between Gwen, who's fighting the Vulture in this scene, obviously not our Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming. But she has this whole fight scene with the Vulture, which then leads to Miguel O'Hara interrupting, which also leads to Jessica Drew showing up. They kind of back and forth, Miguel and Gwen, this whole time. Very funny scene, but then Captain Stacy does show up, and Jessica Drew kind of feels bad for Gwen in this whole situation and does invite her to join the team. But before that, the big scene here is Gwen confronts her dad, takes off the mask, and basically shows that this is who she is, and he unfortunately does want to put her under arrest. And this is where Miguel puts that red cage around Captain Stacy, and he's like, just make your choice. Want to be with him or got to come with us? And she does go with the kind of the multiverse type team. And that's like the first 15, 20 minutes of the movie. I do like the landscaping, the colors, the vibrancy of the opening scene in Gwen's world. It feels like every shot has a different frame rate, has a different colors, animation style. So I just really adored the opening to this movie. Now that propels us into the Miles kind of family drama element now, of like the next part of the movie, which is, Miles gets into a fight with the Spot, who at first, especially in the trailers, give this thought as well, is he's just kind of another villain of the week type villain. He's like kind of a jokey villain, kind of keeps messing up. Miles is late to all these classes, and he does still want to pursue, I guess, physics or biology, whatever it is, in Princeton. But he's doing all these things. Obviously, he actually doesn't. His parents still don't know that he's Spider-Man, even though Spider-Man actually worked very closely with Jefferson in this movie. Obviously, does not know that it's Miles. So all this back and forth, it really culminates at this party. But before we get that, Gwen shows back up, and Gwen shows back up because she's not here to see. Obviously, she wanted to see Miles, but she's here to try to follow the Spot. And the Spot keeps telling Miles, we're closely related, not related, but you made me. It's like joking, like, of course I made you. I'm Spider-Man. Crime happens. I need to be there to fix it. All this stuff. But Gwen shows up. They have a nice time together. Obviously, Gwen needs to stop talking to Miles because that's not her goal of being there. She's there to follow the Spot. This all then leads to Gwen following Spot to, I guess, Spider-Man India type world, Bombaton, not Manhattan, which I thought was a lot of fun. Where we got Karan Sony Spider India character. We also got Spider Punk, who's one of my, if not my favorite addition to this cast, voiced by Daniel Coley, the most exciting and inventive animation style for a character I've ever seen. With Spider Punk, I could watch a whole movie with him involved, and I think based on the ending of this movie, he'll have a big role in Beyond the Spider-Verse, which I think is very exciting. So as this continues, we kind of learn that the Spot basically reveals in some part, it's a long movie, I'm trying to just piece together the main points, that the Spot basically was a person. He obviously worked with Olivia Octavius in the previous film on the, Kingpin's collider, by using the spider that obviously bit Miles Morales in that universe. But obviously things go wrong, and all these things lead to portals, which is a big thing we'll set up later in the movie. But basically, Miles is the one who basically created the Spot with all these different things. We'll get into that with the whole Miguel O'Hara speech later in the film. There's a big event that happens, which is Spider India's girlfriend, who's like the dad, like the captain, Stacy's like to Gwen. Miles saves his life, and Gwen's trying to stop him, and it does feel like that she's trying to stop him because it's a very dangerous thing for Miles to do, but she's actually trying to stop him because it's an event that has to happen to determine Spider-Man India's life, and this is a big, big no-no that Miles did this. So as we continue on, Jessica Drew's like, stop talking to Miles. Why is Miles here? All these things. They don't get the Spot in this one scene. And then they come back to the whole Spider-Man world scene, which is, for me, from this scene on until they leave Spider-Man, my second, other than like the whole 3 Spider-Man meeting No Way Home, my favorite Spider-Man sequence ever. And I think it's fantastic. They walk in, there's a lot of fun Easter eggs with all the villains. We get a Donald Glover live action cameo as a Prowler, as he did appear as Aaron Davis back in Spider-Man Homecoming, who did reference Miles Morales in that universe. So that was really fun. There's like a Mysterio, for example. There's a lot of fun things in here. But this ends up the old Miguel O'Hara speech. Peter B. Parker shows up. There's a lot of things, but Miguel is giving basically this long speech. Tomorrow's that everyone's had an Uncle Ben before, and that has needed to happen to become Spider-Man, basically. Obviously, Uncle Aaron Davis pops up. In this scene, we see like a live silhouette of the Andrew Garfield scene to George Stacy when Captain Stacy dies in that film. We get a silhouette of seeing like comic strips of the Tobey Maguire scene reacting to Uncle Ben's death in the first Spider-Man back in 2002, which was just, again, really great Easter eggs done. There's like comic book actual things that are plopped in. There's a lot of cool stuff in here. Also, J.K. Simmons does voice J. Jonah Jameson in every universe in this movie once again, which I just think is a great thing to continue to do. But the whole brink of it is that Miguel tried something that went wrong, which is that And Miguel in a universe that actually had a child, had a family, died, and he kind of replaced himself in the mix, and it killed not just the kids and his family, but the entire world around it. And there are events that just need to happen. Um, and Miguel messed with that, which means that when Miles did that with from India's thing, that was a problem. And another thing that the spy was setting up was basically that Miles's father is going to die. And Miles obviously said, "We're Spider-Man. We can save everyone." And Miguel is, and even Peter B. Parker says, "We can't. We can't save everyone. Some things just need to happen." Obviously, Miles isn't too happy about that, and that leads to the big chase with everyone going after Miles, which is fantastic. All the different Spider-Man, including even the PS4 Spider-Man, which has a cameo in this movie. Even the actor voices him in the PS4 game. Has like a couple lines in the movie, which I think is just fantastic. But see all these different Spider people. You have like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. You have a cat. A lot of varieties of Spider-Man going after Miles, which then leads to that like Peter B. Parker and also sorry, another big part of Miguel's feature, which is the big anticipus of the whole movie, which is that Miles was not supposed to be bit by that spider, and that his world already had a Spider-Man. And the reason why that Spider-Man died was he protected Miles, which was not the thing that was supposed to happen. So they kind of talk about that in What If, about like these essential moments that need to happen. And then I think Spider-Man did a much better job of explaining that. But they also show a little silhouette, which I didn't even catch until an Easter egg video of earlier when the Spot's explaining things, that spider was supposed to bite the dreadlock Prowler Spider-Man in that universe. And because of not that happening, after that Miles turned into the Prowler, and the big twist at the ending of the movie. And that's why our Miles became from that spider was from a different universe, which is a big no-no. All the spiders in that universe bit the right Spider-Man except Miles. He's the one anomaly where a different spider in a different universe bit Miles, which was totally wrong. And obviously that has set up the whole thing. So Miles somehow heads back home. The woman who's voiced by Amanda Sandberg, who's like the VR type person, she actually sends him back. And you think Miles is sent back actually home. So you have Miguel sending I'm trying to think, the Andy Samberg voiced Spider-Man, who's like one of the most hilarious parts of the movie. You also have Jessica Drews going after Miles, and then you have Gwen on her own kind of like secret mission going after Miles to help him. Because Gwen obviously Miguel, gets her, does not happy with Gwen, kicks Gwen off the team and all these things. So Miles goes home and he basically tells, Gwen told him not to tell his parents that he's Spider-Man. And Miles literally tells his mom that I'm Spider-Man, and she starts hysterically laughing, like, what is this, like Halloween thing? Like, what's going on? And you're thinking right off the bat, is he in the wrong universe? And this is when Uncle Aaron then shows up. And you're like, what is going on here? They go back outside on top of the roof, and obviously Miles has no idea what's going on, even though Uncle Aaron's clearly talking like he knows who this is, because at the end he's like, Miles, you have a different haircut, all these things. And that Jefferson died in this universe. But again, Aaron knows something's off. This is not his Miles. Miles gets tied up. Aaron, you're like, okay, so he's the Prowler or something. Then another Prowler comes in, and right away I was like, this has got to be Miles, and it was Miles. Miles is not in his world. He is in the world, the universe of the spider who bit him, which I think was a fantastic twist to end this movie. Because you've been waiting to hear Miles tell his parents that he's Spider-Man. It's not an excuse, again, for all the things he's doing, but it just gives them something to grasp onto. And the mom thinking it was a joke, and then Uncle Aaron coming back, also again voiced by Mahershala Ali again. And the Prowler music really kicks in, which is my favorite part of theme-wise of the previous film from a score point of view. So it's great to hear that score again. So Miles was not sent to his world. He was sent to the home of the spider who bit him, because it was the DNA of the spider. That's how they get sent to their home worlds, because their home worlds were the spiders that bit them. And that's obviously the anomaly for Miles. So Gwen obviously realizes that Miles is in the wrong universe. And then she brings everyone back, this big team of people to go back after Miles. You get Spider-Man Noir and the Penny Parker, the anime version from the previous one. They don't have it. I think Penny has maybe a couple lines, but obviously Nicolas Cage did not have a line in this movie. Hopefully they got him for sure, because they obviously have him in the team. You have Peter B. Parker, the original team from the last film, And you also have Spider-Punk, and I can't remember if there are any other Spider-Man in that mix. It looks like Gwen is going to lead the charge to help save Miles. And the Spot has basically become the main villain, which I think a lot of people, I wasn't expecting coming into that film. And then we end on To Be Continued. Now, I expected it to be a part one. I think a lot of people did if you knew that the original plan was to be like this to be a part one, then a part two. I know, like for my mom, who I saw the movie with, didn't know it was a part one, and she was kind of disappointed when the movie said To Be Continued. And I explained it to her, and then it made sense. So I think for people who did not know it was a part one, probably would be very confused. But I knew coming in, and once they were kind of building up that Miles is captured by Uncle Aaron and another version of Miles, who wasn't supposed to be bit by a spider and wasn't. He's become the Prowler because of his father's death, which I find super interesting. I can't wait for the setup of that. Miguel was focused this entire movie. He was not messing around. He controls everything in the Spider People multiverse. And it's one anomaly that one spider should have never bitten Miles. And I think there's a really good thing of, Miguel's not the villain of this movie. Yes, he could be an antagonist, but he's also in the right just as much as Miles is in the right. That if Miles even tries to save his dad, that will destroy his whole universe, his whole world. So I'm very interested in seeing if Miles in the next movie will have to make it. He'll have to make the decision of, does he forget everything Miguel says and tries to save his father and just protect him? And will that destroy his world? Will he put that hypothesis to the test, or will he listen to Miguel and just his father's death has to happen? I think that's a big decision. I think will bring a lot of the emotion out of the next film. Gwen, obviously, at the end of this movie, also recoups with her father, because again, Miguel sent her back to her world permanently. She thought, again, Spider-Punk gave her the remnants of the watch, because he was like taking stuff away from Miguel's place the whole time. You're like, what is he doing that for? It was for a watch for Gwen. But Gwen kind of makes up with her dad, which was great. And the reason why she kind of does this also is that she talks like, "This is who I am," and her dad says that I'm done being a captain. I quit already. So which means obviously in her mind that a captain has to die and her dad won't die, and she just has to find Miles. So I just really enjoy Spider-Gwen in this movie. She was great in the first one, but her and Miles are characters that are fantastic. They have a great relationship. Sure, it clearly looks like Miles likes her more than that, obviously in a romantic way, but I still think even them just as friends are a fantastic duo. And I'm very excited to see Miles trying to get out of that situation in that world, and Gwen leading the charge against Miguel. Should be interesting. There's a lot of good, interesting things that really got me excited for part two of this Beyond the Spider-Verse, which also awesomely comes out late March, which is obviously 10 months from now. So hope we start to get some trailers soon for that film. But overall, this is a fantastic film. I got into all my also critical thoughts in my previous review, but that's the plot wise. There was no post-credit scene in this film. Overall, a fantastic film. Cannot wait for Beyond the Spider-Verse and more Spider-Man coverage on. Again, this is my favorite superhero of all time. So this week, sometime probably Tuesday, on this channel, you will get my full Spider-Man movies ranking with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse into the ranking. I like to update my rankings, and for some reason I just haven't done enough videos for that. I've realized I'm going to start doing that for like this month. We'll do a Spider-Man movies ranking, a Transformers ranking, a DC EU ranking, and an Indiana Jones ranking. So all those rankings will also be done this month. So please subscribe to the bell for more videos. I'll talk to you guys soon.